welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah and I love to crochet, specifically plushies. So in today's video we are going to be learning how to crochet this little chicken. It's so cute and easy to make, so this is really beginner friendly and there's very low sew. This is my first full length video, so just bear with me. This is gonna be an interesting ride. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before that, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend on how to make this little guy. So let's just get into the video. The yarn I'll be using is the Baby Bee Snugs and Kisses in the color Teddy, and then this is the Red Heart in the dark red. This one is just regular acrylic yarn, and then you just need a scrap of the yellow fluffy yarn. For materials, we will need a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, it can be metal or plastic, a safety pin or stitch marker or a bobby pin, whatever you have, and then a pair of safety eyes. You can also use felt eyes or buttons, any eyes that you do have. To get started with our chicken, we will need to doing a magic ring. And for that magic ring, we will be needing to do 6 single crochets. Now that you have 6 single crochets, we will tighten our magic ring. And then in the first single crochet, we're going to place 1 increase. An increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then we're going to grab our stitch marker and place it on that first stitch. And then we're going to place another single crochet in that same stitch. So now you're going to place 2 single crochets, which is an increase, all the way around. At the end of the round, you should have 12 single crochets. Now you're going to remove your stitch marker and put in 1 single crochet. And stitch mark that. And then you're going to put 1 increase, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then you're going to put 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. And you're going to do that all the way around. You should end on an increase. And you should have a little plate looking thing. And then we're going to take the stitch marker out and put 1 single crochet. And then stitch mark that first stitch. And then we're going to do another single crochet, get a little more yarn. So now you will have 2 single crochets, and then you're going to do an increase. 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So you should have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then an increase. And then you're going to do that again, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then an increase. And you're going to do that all the way around. And then our last stitch, you should end on an increase. Now that we have this flat part, I can measure on my chicken, and the bigger the chicken you want, the more increases you're going to do. This tutorial is for a smaller chicken like this size because that's what all you requested, so we're going to make a smaller version of a chicken. So now that we did 2 single crochet increase, we're going to undo our stitch marker and put in 1 single crochet, and then stitch mark that, and then another single crochet, and then another single crochet. So we're going to doing 3 single crochet increase. So now that we have 3 single crochets, we're going to do our increase. 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then we will be doing 3 single crochets, 3, and then an increase. And then another 3 single crochets. And then an increase. So now you're going to do 3 single crochet increase all the way around your ring. And then we're going to do our last single crochet and then the increase on the last stitch. And now we have the flat part of the chicken, which is right over here. Now we're going to be building our body. So we will be doing, it depends on how big your flat part is. Some have big, like wider tension, so it will be wider, so you make more single crochet. So what I do is you do 5 to 7 rounds of single crochet, which will build this body. So to see is just when you make the single crochets, once you fold it like this, you can see if you like it. If you want it more longer, then you do more single crochets. If you want it more skinnier, then you do less single crochets of the rounds. So now you're just going to be doing single crocheting around for 5 to 7 rounds. Depends on how you want your size to be. So I'll meet you on the next rounds. Alrighty, so I ended up doing 4 rounds of single crochet, and that looked like enough. It did turn out a little bigger than this chicken, but that is totally fine. So now that you are done, you are going to slip stitch. You just go in and then you don't yarn over after you pull it out, so it's just one big stitch, and then it turns out it doesn't give any height. So now you're going to cut a good amount of yarn. So you just take your yarn and put it across your chicken, and then just add a tad more like this. And then you're going to take your scissors and then just cut that. And then with your hook, you're just going to pull your yarn out. Some of you might have done 7 rounds, some of you have done 3 rounds, but that is all fine. And then now you're going to take out your stitch marker and take your tapestry needle or any needle that you have. I'm using a metal one, you could also use plastic, and you're just going to pull it through. And then you're going to take from this side to this side, you just put it together and then sew that closed, just like so. And then you're going to do that to the next stitches, those 2. You're also going to sew that closed. And then you don't do that all the way around, just about halfway we're going to do that. Alright, now that I'm halfway, you're going to grab your safety eyes. I am using safety eyes, but you can also use felt eyes, button eyes, or whatever you have, or you could embroider them on. So you're going to find a place where you like them. I like mine maybe about over here. Check if they're even. I like to just check like this, just to see if they're parallel together. And then you're going to grab your stoppers or the little protectors so they don't fall out. They should look something like this. And then you're just going to take the back of your eye where the sharp part is, the camera's not focusing, and then you're just going to place that inside and then bring that closed. Might get a little hard because they are needing to stay there. I always have to do this off camera, so I'll see you later. Now that I have the eyes in, you're going to take your polyfill or yarn scraps, puff that up a little bit, and then put it inside that remaining hole. So it is all stuffed. And you can stuff yours as firm or light as you want it. I like to stuff my plushies like medium kind, so it's not too stuffed and it's not too understuffed. So now it's pretty squishy. And then you're going to sew up the rest of your hole. So that goes in those 2 stitches. And you're just going to do that all the way across until you have closed up your whole plushie. Now that the plushie is closed, you have the remaining loop. You're just going to stick that in and then just bring it out wherever on the plushie. Lost my hook. There you go. And then just bring that out. And then with that, you can just stick it in with the end of your, or the back of your sewing needle. Now you have a little chicken body. And then you will need your red yarn. I'm using the red heart, and just bring out some. And then now you will need your hook. You're going to make a slip knot with your red yarn, and then put your hook in and tighten. And then you're going to take your chicken and count 3 stitches back from the top. On that 3rd stitch, you're going to put that in and then make a slip stitch inside that little brown hole. Now you are going to chain 3, and then once you have chained 3, you're going to do a double crochet in that same stitch that you slip stitched in. And then you're going to make another double crochet, so there should be 2 double crochets with that chain 3 in your stitch, which should be all in 1 stitch. So it should look like that, and that would be 1 frill. Now in the 2nd stitch over here, you're going to make a slip stitch. It can get a little tough to get in there, and then you're going to slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 3 again. Alright, now that you have chained 3, you're going to do 2 double crochets in that same stitch, and then the 2nd double crochet, and then in the next stitch over here, you're going to do a slip stitch, and then chain 3, and then 2 double crochets. And then you're going to do a slip stitch, and then after that you have the 3 frills, and then you're going to cut your yarn about over here, so just a small length, and then just pull your hook so it comes out, and then you're going to take your needle, thread it through, and then just put it inside that, and then bring it out wherever you'd like. And then for the one in the back, you're going also to do the same thing. Thread it, and then just push it in and thread it out. And then you're just going to tuck that in, same as the other one. It might be a little hard to tuck it in with a metal one. It is a little easier to tuck it in with the plastic one, but I have a metal one on me right now, so I'll just do it with the metal. And then you just put that in. And then if there is a little tuft, you can just cut that right off. So then it looks like this. This one does look a little wonky, but that's fine. And then you're going to take your scrap yellow yarn, thread that through, just like so. There might be some background noises just because there is people around, so there will be some background noises. Now you're gonna thread that through right through the middle over here. Bring that out like so. Make sure there is a small tail over here. Put that through and to the other side. And then I like to do that 2 or 3 times just so there's a thick enough beak. And then put that through and thread that through all the way out. And then I just cut a little bit off just because it is a pretty big length. And then finish tucking this part in. And then you're going to thread to the other side. And then you're going to put that inside and thread that all the way to the back. And that is the end of your little chicken. They do look pretty similar, I'd say. This part you can just tuck back in, it is fine. But that is the end of your little chicken. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe and share to other friends and family. And comment down below how your chicken turned out. And please let me know if I need to improve anything because this is my first video and tutorial. And comment down below what other things I should make. So I'll see you in my next one. Bye!